They promised him quick money, but they didn't tell him the madness would come first. For 7 nights he slept among the dead. For 1 year, water never touched his skin. And when the voices started calling his name from the grave, it was already too late. This is not the story of a wicked man, it is the story of a broken one. His name was Sadiq. Sadiq was once full of promise. In school, he was the boy teachers praised, the one classmates borrowed notes from, the one everyone believed would escape poverty. He graduated with flying colours, holding his certificate like a key, convinced it would open doors. But when he stepped into the real world, every door was locked. Day after day, Sadiq searched for work. He walked long distances under the sun, clutching his documents, standing in endless queues, only to be told, "We'll call you." They never did. When office jobs failed, he humbled himself. He washed cars until his hands cracked. He carried heavy loads at the market until his back screamed. He worked jobs that paid just enough to keep hunger alive, but never enough to kill it. And at home was his mother, an old, sick woman whose body had given up before her spirit did. Every cough from her chest sounded like a countdown. Every night, Sadiq lay awake listening to her struggle for breath, pretending to sleep so she wouldn't see the fear in his eyes. Sometimes she would whisper, "My son, don't worry, God will help us." But Sadiq worried anyway, because medicine cost money, food cost money, time was running out. And the most painful thing a man can feel is not hunger, it is helplessness. Sadiq prayed, he fasted, he waited, but hope does not survive forever in an empty stomach. Slowly, a dangerous thought began to grow in his mind. What if doing the right thing is what is destroying me? That was when he heard about another way. A way that did not require waiting, a way that promised instant change. He did not know that shortcuts don't shorten journeys. They only move the pain forward. And by the time Sadiq realized what he had agreed to, the price was already being collected. The night hunger pushed. Sadiq into desperation was the night his destiny began to crack. He sat alone in his one-room apartment, staring at the cracked ceiling, listening to the sound of his empty stomach growling louder than his thoughts. At 32, Sadiq had nothing to show for his life. No job, no savings, no future. His phone buzzed constantly with debt messages. Friends avoided him. Even his own family had stopped calling, but one thing kept ringing in his ears. There is a shortcut if you are brave enough. That was what Baba Gori, the native doctor, had said earlier that day. Sadiq had followed a friend into the bush, past twisted trees and red soil paths, until they reached a hut that smelled of herbs, blood, and something rotten. Baba Gori's eyes were milky white, like someone who had seen too much of the other world. "You want money?" Baba Gori asked calmly. "Yes," Sadiq whispered. "Quick money?" "Yes." The old man smiled, not a happy smile, a dangerous one. "There is a ritual," Baba Gori said, "but once you start, there is no turning back." Sadiq nodded without thinking. Then the conditions came. 7 nights sleeping inside a cemetery, bathed naked in a busy market at noon. 1 full year without bathing, not even rain must touch your skin, and finally, bring 3 virgin lizards, untouched by any human hand. Sadiq laughed nervously. "That's all?" Baba Gori's face turned serious. "If you fail," he said slowly, "your mind will not forgive you." That night, Sadiq convinced himself he could do it. After all, it was just 7 days. The first night at the cemetery. The cemetery was colder than he imagined. Graves stretched endlessly, some broken, some fresh. The wind whispered names he didn't recognize. As midnight approached, Sadiq spread a mat between two tombstones. At first, nothing happened. Then he heard footsteps, slow, dragging, circling him. He held his breath. A child's voice whispered, "Why are you sleeping in my place?" Sadiq jumped up screaming and ran home, but Baba Gori only laughed. "You failed night one," he said. "Start again." And so Sadiq returned. Night after night, the voices grew louder. Shadows moved without bodies. Cold fingers brushed his skin. By the seventh night, Sadiq no longer screamed. He talked back. On the morning of the seventh day, Sadiq woke up smiling, talking to a grave that answered him back. The ritual begins to eat him. The market was crowded. Women shouted prices. Children ran barefoot. Men argued over change. And in the middle of it all, Sadiq stood naked. His clothes lay folded on the ground as instructed. At first, people laughed. Then they shouted. Then they threw stones. Sadiq closed his eyes and bathed himself with water poured by Baba Gori's assistant. Shame burned hotter than the sun, but Sadiq endured, because he had already seen the money in his dreams. 1 year without bathing days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Sadiq stopped bathing. His skin cracked. His smell announced his presence before he arrived. People avoided him. Children cried when they saw him. Dogs barked and ran away. But worse than the smell were the whispers. At night, voices argued inside his head. "You are almost there. You will die before you finish. Bring the lizards." Sleep abandoned him. Food lost its taste. He began to scratch his skin until it bled. Still, he continued. The 3 virgin lizards. This was where everything collapsed. Sadiq searched forests, abandoned houses, shrines, everywhere. Each lizard he caught either escaped or died in his hands. The deadline came closer. One night, Baba Gori's voice appeared in his dream. "You are running out of time." Sadiq woke up screaming. From that day he changed. He walked naked through streets. He laughed at nothing. He spoke to people who weren't there. His mother cried when she saw him. "My son is gone," she said. One night, Sadiq disappeared into the cemetery again, and this time he refused to come out. Deliverance and the price of shortcuts. They found Sadiq 3 days later. He was naked, filthy, sitting on a grave, chewing sand. His eyes were empty. "He's mad," people whispered. Chains couldn't hold him. Medicine didn't work. That was when Pastor Emmanuel's arrived. He stood calmly before Sadiq, holding a Bible. "Loose him," the pastor said. The air changed. Sadiq screamed, a scream that did not sound human. He collapsed. For hours, the pastor prayed. Screams turned to tears. Tears turned to silence. At dawn, Sadiq opened his eyes. "Mama," he whispered. After deliverance. Sadiq never got the money, but he got his life back. The scars remained. The memories stayed. He became a warning. Every time someone mentioned quick money, Sadiq would shake his head and say, "Shortcuts don't lead to blessings, they lead to graves." Moral lesson. Not all opportunities are blessings. Not all doors are meant to be opened. When desperation speaks louder than wisdom, destruction listens. There is no shortcut to success that does not demand your soul. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more.